What's up, guys? Welcome to another day, another stream. I took the SAT yesterday and promptly just passed out. I passed out for like 3 hours that day after doing the SAT and like this class that I had to teach. So, needless to say, I wasn't really in the best condition taking the SAT. Which is why I'm a little late on this stream. I kind of caught up on some sleep and ran some errands, and right now it's Sunday night, so I'm just catching up. I'm doing this stream right now just to get over, go over a couple things. First is just my impressions of the test. Second is some reflections on my strategy and how I might tweak some of the things I've been saying in my streams and sort of fine tune it a little further, because I'll explain the because later, but that's the second thing. And then third thing is just an invitation to you guys to share what you guys are thinking when you took the test. I am in the U.S., so I took the U.S. test. So anything I say about the test will not be about, like, it will not. You will not know what I'm talking about if you took the international test. And and also just note that there is an agreement with the College Board that I'm not actually going to be able to talk about the details of the test, right? I can do that once the QAS comes out 2 weeks later. Like, I can talk about the actual questions, like, when the QAS comes out. But until then, I'm not really going to be able to say anything really in detail, in like a stream like this. So just be aware that the content of my impressions will be very general. I don't fully know the legal repercussions of this kind of thing, but I just don't want to incur the ire of the College Board and then be like I don't want to be like perma-banned from taking the SAT in the future. I want to at least be able to do this for the next couple years, right? To keep showing you guys how my strategy actually works or doesn't work, right? I want to be able to prove everything I say by actually walking the walk. So I want to err on the side of caution. So just note that I will not be able to say anything in detail. Now I'm seeing Iverson and Lan. Welcome to the stream. The history passage. Yeah. Iverson, the history passage, it's not just you. I don't know if you saw the Reddit thread for the SAT, the US SAT for May, but it is not just you. It's almost everyone flipped out about the Burke passage. So I'll just say this. I'll say this. For me, when I took the test, I had to, like, I woke up in a funk. Like, I woke up with a headache and my throat was like super dry and my lips were hurting because I have these canker sores. And I had all sorts of problems when I woke up. I was not like in my best condition. So I drank a lot of water hoping it would help me. And I went to the restroom before going into my room, but you know how you have to spend like 30 minutes doing the, what's it called? The administrative stuff, like just the filling out the bubbles. During that time, I had to go to the restroom again because I drank so much water in the morning. So the proctor didn't let me, which means that the proctor only let me go to the bathroom once the time started. So I actually had to take this bathroom break when the reading test started. And I was, it's kind of weird flex, right? Reading test starts, you just stand up and you go straight to the bathroom. It was a weird flex. Because I'm like the adult surrounded by a bunch of high schoolers. But I came back and I eventually got, I went through lit passages, the 2 science passages, then the history passage. And by the time I hit the history passage, I probably had about 30 minutes left, 32 minutes, something like that. Okay, I had like a good amount of time. I had 15 minutes left for each passage, and I wasn't too stressed out about it. But that history passage, man, I think it ate up more than 15 minutes. I think it ate up about 16 minutes for me. And so I felt the pressure at the very end. And I was like, God damn it, if I didn't spend like 2-3 minutes in the bathroom, I at least would feel a little bit of peace, that I could go back and double check some things. But now I'm actually like running right up against the the 65-minute hard stop. So I did feel some pressure there. That said, with the history passage, I will not talk about the content of the history passage, but I do think, broadly speaking, if you just were thinking about things like, the Senate has like a 6-year term in the U.S., right? And like the House of Representative has like 2-year terms, right? Stuff like that. As long as you had that sort of general idea in your head, and then you could and then you were thinking fundamentally, like when would a shorter or longer term be like useful, right? And if you had a sort of curious, open mind about that sort of topic, then I think you would have been able to wade through that passage a little faster. If you couldn't pick up on this general topic, then that passage would be pretty tough. It'd be pretty tough. So that's all I think I can say right now about this passage. I'm not talking about that passage. I'm just talking about this theme right now. I'm talking about the college board. I'm talking about a theme. I'm talking about a political theme right now. I'm not talking about a passage. So that's that. And because Iverson is following up on the same topic, I just want to reply to Iverson first. When was I under my typical 12 minutes per passage? Right. I think I hit the first. Like for me in my head, I try to hit like what was it like 10, 13, 13, 13, right? But it never comes out to really like that. But if you do 10, 10, 13, 13, 13, then you would finish with 59 minutes. So you would have 6 extra minutes. So it never happens that way. But then you could at least take those 6 minutes and then like add 3 minutes to like a hard passage, right? And then have like 3 minutes left over. Okay, so I guess like an easier way of saying that is like 10, 10, 13, 13, 16. And then plus 3 for just double checking stuff. That would be. I'm also fine tuning. Like I'm trying to find a realistic way of saying something that is also easy to remember. Because 12 minutes per passage is easy to remember, but it's not realistic. It never happens that way. At least not for me. Like it's never flat. It's like faster for the first 3 passages and then slower for the last 2 passages usually, right? So for me, I feel like saying 10, 10, 13, 13, 13, or maybe 10, 10, 13, 13, 16 plus 3 is like a way of thinking about it. You tell me what you think is more intuitive, because the more complicated that the number sounds, the less likely you're going to actually remember it, right? So I'm kind of curious what you guys think is useful. For me, though, I was by the end of the 3rd passage, I was at 35 minutes, right? So that's under 12 minutes per passage. So I felt good, and that even though I had to take 2 minutes out for a bathroom break, right? And I jogged. I stood up like I don't give a shit, I stood up all calm. I walked out and then I ran to the bathroom, and then it was a mess, man. The bathroom was really far, so I was like, this is the reading passage. It's the only one that I don't have extra time on usually. Like writing and math and everything, I had extra time on. Like writing, I had more than 10 minutes of extra time. The math without calc, I had like 5 or something minutes extra time. And this is after double checking. For writing and math, I basically take the test twice. I take it once and I come back and I just go from number 1 back to 35 or like whatever the numbers are. I just go back all over it, right? So for writing and math, I feel really confident because I was able to take all of the writing and math sections 2 times each, and I still had like all this time left over. So it was pretty terrible that the reading was the one that I had to take a bathroom break on. But yeah, 12 minutes each, pretty solid. Last 30 minutes, that history passage did stress me out. Even the science passage, the final science passage was a little tough for me. I don't remember what was tough about it. It could have been psychological, but it was tough for me. For land, it seems like math was harder. So I think you always want to be at the position with math where you have enough free time to go and double check all your answers, because I caught a lot of bad, like, dumb mistakes by going over it a second time. So, and I think that happens to most kids, especially for me. I mean, I don't do math on the daily, so like I make like dumb mistakes like all the time. So it's really good to just like disengage and come back to it 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, 40 minutes later sometimes, right? And like come back to it and be like, oh, okay, I made a mistake, like, and then just correct it. So that's yeah, I think I don't know if everyone should be modeling off of me, but my experience is that I'm very tight on time for reading, and for writing and math I have a lot of extra time, but I just have to double check all the careless mistakes. So that's my sort of reality. So I'm kind of curious if that matches with you guys as well. What's my tips for history passage? For now, I will. I can only say you should know the conventions of speech and debate. And if you know the conventions of speech and debate, and you know how to, like, especially if you've taken a debate course where you have to flow arguments, where you understand what they're for and why they're for it, you understand what they're against and why they're against it, and you can kind of like keep that organized in your head while you're reading, you're going to do a lot better overall. Okay, so understanding the conventions of speech and debate, that's the formal aspects of history. And then the second is the substantive aspects of history, which is understanding the general debates that we've actually had in the last 200, 300 years about democracy and equality and freedom. It starts with England. Edmund Burke is a very important figure in conservative politics and political philosophy. So starting basically with Edmund Burke, when he was criticizing the French Revolution, all that stuff, and thinking about conservatism in England, okay, or like at his time period, but also thinking about the founding fathers in the United States, all the way through like abolition and the early feminist movement, and with the modern like United Nations and thereafter, like post-colonial period, just thinking about what kind of debates were there, like what is a more just world, and what are the debates that people had over the course of history to erect a more just, a fairer world. If you know the substance of this kind of of these debate content, right? If you understand the things that they debated about, okay, that's the content of your history knowledge. And then if you understand the conventions of speech and debate, and you can organize arguments in your head, then that's the form of the history passage. So you get the content and the form, and you should be pretty set. Now this is pretty broad, but I'm going to keep it pretty broad for now, because for this stream I want to focus more on the May 2022. Okay, so yeah, moving on for now. My impressions then is pretty similar to, I agree with pretty much everyone that the history passage is kind of hard. For me, it wasn't so hard because I had the themes in my head of like, oh, okay, we're talking about like, like adjust, like lengthening or shortening this thing, right? These terms, right? Lengthening or shortening these things, that would have an effect. Like what effect would it have? Why should you do it? Why shouldn't you? And I kind of just knew that was the topic, and that wasn't so hard to get my head around. Also, I mean, unlike you guys, I'm not that uncomfortable with difficult grammar, so I can parse sentences really fast. So for me, it wasn't so bad. But yeah, it sucked up a lot of time for sure. Besides that, but then again, this reading passage was not like an outlier. It wasn't like shockingly difficult compared to other reading passages. These, like, it was difficult. It's on the difficult side, but it wasn't like, oh my god, it's unprecedented. The SATs, now there's a trend that SAT is becoming harder. No, that's not. No. It's within the range of past SAT tests. It's pretty normal. It's on the harder side. Okay, so that was my experience with the SAT. My only fear, I feel good because on the math and the writing, for the math specifically, I was able to learn some concepts before this. I actually studied for the math this time, so I at least knew everything. I knew how to approach everything, and I was able to like double check all my answers. So I feel good about the math. I feel good about the writing. I think there was one writing question that I felt really iffy on, and I actually forgot. It's only been one day, but I forgot what that was. There was one writing question I was like, I just remember what it was. But now that I think about it, I'm actually kind of confident in that one now too. So I feel good about the math and the writing. It's just that the reading, I wasn't able to double check everything, especially with like that like bathroom break and everything. So we'll see. But I'm gonna say I would put myself at a 30% probability that I'm gonna get a 1600. So I hope that happens. If it doesn't, I'm gonna be a little annoyed personally. But But I think I have a solid shot at a 1600 right now. So that's my experience with the May SAT. Now going back to I don't know what to call you, but let me just double check. Well, we had KSL. Sorry, KSL. I actually completely missed your comment. International version tips were helpful. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that, thanks for sharing. By the way, I did want to say this closer to the end of the stream, but I'm going to share, just since you're here, I'm going to say it now. Thank you everyone that comes here, like everyone that comes here to like specifically tell me that you've been helped. Thank you so much. Like it gives me a sense of clarity about what I'm doing, a sense of purpose about what I'm doing. It motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing, and it keeps me sharper. It makes me think about what is working and what isn't working. So every time you guys do this, where you like come and tell me specifically what you're helped by, thank you. It helps me a lot as well. It was like a foundation get back. It's like a simple difficult. Yeah. The paradox, it's so much easier to talk about a difficult experience in hindsight. When you've already finished the difficult experience, it's so much easier to understand what happened in the real moment, like in the actual period of that difficulty. It's much harder to zoom out, but afterwards it's much simpler in retrospect. So that's just something that's like the paradox of the learning process, I think. Dark, what's up? Now I want to get on to my second topic then. My second topic was tweaks to the way I describe my strategy going forward. So up until now, I've been sort of hamming it up. I don't know if you guys know that idiom, but I've been sort of overacting. I've been sort of over dramatizing my strategy. And I think it still probably will serve a purpose. I think even in the future, I will continue to overemphasize and over dramatize my point, because I do think it's really important for you guys to see how well it works, even when I over dramatize it. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the whole thing about predicting the answer, choosing your answer choice, and not even double checking the other ones, right? And I've done that on my stream. Many times to prove to you guys that this sort of overly cautious, overly like, I don't want to say this because this has sort of like masculinist charges, but I'm still going to say it. But like the sort of beta male approach of being like, oh, I don't know if I can understand the passage, so I'm just going to go to the questions first, and then mark all the line numbers because who knows, I'm scared, right? Like, no, you can literally just read the damn thing, and you can read the question stem, and you can predict it, and you can even not even double check. Like if you predicted it and you see C and it's like the correct answer, you could circle it and not even double check A, B, and D and just move on. And I would sort of really like strongly emphasize this on my streams because at least almost all of the advice that I see on the internet is the opposite. It's the beta male approach. Just being constantly scared that you're not going to understand the passage, and sorry for using such like kind of almost sexist charged terminology, but I don't know. I just can't think of a better metaphor right now. But the the sort of I think that approach paralyzes you because it doesn't teach you to grow. When you are constantly like covering your ass and hoping that you won't you want to get all the line references first and all that stuff and understand the questions first. Like if you keep doing that, I don't think you'll actually grow in your reading abilities. So that I think it was really important for me to emphasize that you can do that. The thing though is that in the real test, I'm not that aggressive. And I double checked this time because I wanted to see, the way I'm streaming. Is it like, am I doing it the exact same way on the real test? And it turns out no, I'm not doing it the exact same way. I'm more conservative. I just realized something. My time is off. I'm actually late to something right now. And this is not good to be late to, because I've been really bad with my time. Give me a sec. Let me at least say this sentence, which is that no, I didn't do it I didn't do it the exact same way. So the tweaks I'm going to make to my strategy going forward is I am going to reintroduce process elimination and show you guys how I actually use process elimination, because I almost brought it down to 0 on my streams, and that actually made me make a lot more errors. So how do you bring back process elimination? How do I actually use it in the real test? I'll be emphasizing a little bit more about the streams going forward. I'm going to be kind of showing you more of that and kind of balancing that out a little more. So that'll be a big change not a big change. It's kind of a tweak, really. That's going to be the major tweak going forward. I'm going to use my experience on the May SAT and sort of modulate the way that I explain my process on my streams going forward. Final thing I want to get through today is final thing I want to get through today. Sorry, this is not something I was supposed to be late to. I just wasn't paying attention to time very well. The final thing I want to get through today is just an invitation really to you guys to share your experiences with the test. Now, if you are anonymous, then I think you're pretty safe. YouTube wise, like leaving comments, just kind of saying whatever the heck you want to say. If you're not anonymous, technically it's not safe. Technically. So you might want to wait until the QAS comes out if you want to actually have specific details that you want to talk about, which is next Friday, right? So almost 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now, the QAS will come out, and then we'll be able to talk about the actual test in detail. Until then, you probably shouldn't. Actually, you're not supposed to. You signed an agreement. You're not going to. So if you want to have anonymous conversations, you can do that, I guess in YouTube. You can also do it in Reddit. I'm not really active on Reddit, but it's a place where people are there and talking. So those are places where you can discuss. But for me, I'm just curious, like specifically when you used the strategies that I talked about, like what worked for you and what didn't work for you, how did your confidence going in, how did your confidence coming out of the test change, and just some specifics about your experiences. I'd be curious to hear how that was for you guys. So I want to wrap this up by talking a little bit about the YouTube situation. I'm kind of growing. I'm growing pretty fast, I think. I just hit like 100 subscribers like less than a month ago, and now I'm at like almost 250, and so we're growing. If you wanna if you're not subscribing yet but you do find this useful, please hit the like and subscribe button. This helps the algorithm kind of spread out, and also just helps you stay in touch with the streams that I am doing. Right now, it's not very professional, and I don't intend to be super professional, at least this year. But I will be uploading more edited content over time, just because edited content's easier to watch. So I will be doing that more over time. More specifically though, my first milestone is I want to hit 500 subscribers specifically, because at 500 subscribers I'm going to be able to do community posts. And when I'm doing community posts, we can actually just have discussions without necessarily a whole YouTube video around it. So if you are finding some value in this stream, and if you want to help this sort of grow to like the next level, I think just being able to write community posts would be a big not a game changer per se, but it'd be a big upgrade to the current experience. So yeah, come show your support, and I'll just keep doing what I do. So that's the last thing I wanted to say. I'll just do a couple of Q&A over here just to answer any other final questions, and then I have to wrap up. So you took the international, no, hang on, I read that already. Foundation, okay, that's the content and form for the history passage. So we were talking about that, and looking at how is the SAT? Oh yeah, the SAT. I said this at the beginning of the stream, but so I'll just give a one sentence summary of it. But basically, a lot of people thought that the history passage for the reading was hard in the US. I agreed it's on the harder side, but not like outlier crazy hard. It's on the harder side. And And KSL, thanks for being giving me more specific feedback. Thank you. 500 subscribers. Thank you. I hope so too. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me. I gotta go. But everyone, next 2 weeks, enjoy your life. Do well in school, and as always, keep on growing.